Alright, welcome back guys. Today we're going to look at how I fight against Hathors. So we have a couple of back-to-back matches of Hathor gameplay, not mine, the opponent. And you're going to either be bringing Hathor or fighting Hathor pretty much all the time. So let's take a look at kind of what is working for me. I wouldn't say it's 100%, but it works well enough that I feel confident bringing it. So let's look at the draft. They went Vanessa first pick, which I think is my preferred first pick now. I think Vanessa first pick leads to more options based on your opponent's strategy, whereas Hathor first pick locks you into control. And if your opponent knows that, sometimes they can capitalize on it. A lot of times, cleave teams seem to capitalize on Hathor first pick. They let you have the Hathor, and then you can't quite catch up on monsters that can deal with cleave, and then they win. So little note about Vanessa first pick. I follow with Fran Ciara, which I don't know is my typical response to Vanessa first pick. Sometimes I'll do something different, but I do like the Fran there. And then I want also my own speed lead, just in case they're going to try to cleave me. You never know. I was feeling cleave paranoid at that point. They went Hathor Verd, which I think is probably better / more functional than Hathor Gani. It's kind of a weird thing to say, but Hathor Verd, it functions the same as Hathor Gani if you get both, and then Verd anything kind of is like a ragdoll. So you get two different teams that both function well depending on if either unit is banned. So this is where I counter the Hathor with the Josephine Amelia. Amelia is basically a hard counter to Hathor if you can get one turn. And Hathor users know it and they hate it. Mine is swift, so they have a better chance of winning against me, but violent Amelias, you have a 22% chance every turn of destroying Hathor teams because you proc, you cleanse, and then they're done. They don't have a lot they can do. So one thing Hathor users are looking for is, as a person that uses Hathor quite a bit, what they're looking for is you to blow the cleanse for any other reason other than cleansing a full sleep. So if you have a defense break and you use it, they're happy because they know they've got a little break and they can maybe lock you down. So be really judicious with that cleanse if you have an Amelia. They follow with Ager Bulwark. I'm not sure why. I guess they just wanted... The Bulwark obviously counters an Amelia, so they're going there. And then the Ager, maybe they just need extra strips since they only have the one with the Hathor and they don't have access to the Josephine here. I go with Triana. I needed a heal. I wanted another cleanse. I don't know. This team feels a little bit damage short, but that's what I chose. So let's see how it plays out. They ban the Sierra. I ban the Bulwark. They're banning my only source of damage, really, which is smart. I'm banning the counter to my counter of them. And I know once they picked a Bulwark that my Amelia is getting through. Like, that to me is a clear sign that the Amelia is getting through. Here comes the Confiscate on my pony. Counter into immunity, so nothing's happening there. They're working on Fran, which is smart. Fran's usually pretty weak. Doesn't pack a lot of effective HP. So here comes the first Delayed Promise. They're doing it into 2 willed units and a Josephine. That's how that goes. So that's a wasted Delayed Promise. All they got was attack bar and a sleep off of Triana. And I've got, 4 cleansers? One only cleanses themselves, but everything's a cleanser. So nothing's going to stick to me unless I allow it to. Which, a defense broken Triana with a shield, maybe I let it hang around. It's not the end of the world. I feel pretty confident she can handle the Ager, right? The Verd's not going to mess her up too bad. So we're working on their weakest unit, they're working on our weakest unit, and you can tell based on the health, where the successes lie. The Verd's getting pretty low. I'm a little bit worried. The Fran now, defense broken, extra turn. That saved me. That's why Triana's there, right? Triana just saved me from going down 4-3, and now we get to bounce back. We cleanse, get the defense from the Amelia, and we're sweating it a little bit. We're pretty low, but we're about to get a Fran turn, which of course they're always effective. And we're almost done with that Bird finally. And it's back. But we get the nice little heal from Triana. The extra heal there. One mistake I've been making with Fran that I'm trying to get over and correct is she's kind of not a healer. Like, if you rely on her to solo heal your team, teams like this guy's team will do what they're doing. They will try to burn her down by herself, and usually they can burn through her heals because they're not that great, especially if you use her first heal as a immunity, right? So we win that one pretty handily, just tanking it out, taking out the Verd, and then going after the next damage dealer. Let's look at the next replay here. It's a very similar draft with a couple little differences, but the same type of draft, same effect. So they go Hathor first turn, which we'll talk about here in a second. Or first pick, excuse me. It influences my draft a little bit. I would pick the Fran into the Hathor because that gives you an immunity option, which is a good immunity option. And then I pick the Verd because Hathors want Verds. They either want Verds or Gannies. I'm okay with him picking a Ganny. There's a couple things you can do there, but I want the Verd, right? So I take the Verd. They go Vanessa Triana, which is what I would do with my Hathor comp. If you don't get Fran, you got to get healing. You got to get some sort of sustain. And I think Triana's effective at that. So Vanessa Triana's reasonable for them. But then I pick my hard counter, which in my opinion is a hard counter, the Amelia Josephine. And so then he's got to respond in some sort of wind option, which he goes the Diana and then the Ager again. So we'll see that Ager again. The Ager is to deal with the Verd. The Diana is to deal with my counter. So, and I go with Antares to finish. We'll look at the bans. The Antares I really like against the Diana. It'll work well against the Hathor. It's kind of hard to control. It tends to get a million turns, which can help against the Hathor. I ban the Ager. My plan is, I guess, to burn down the Diana. I'm not sure why I chose that. Oh, because I had double fire. So I was thinking the double fire versus the Ager would be worse than the double water against the Diana. Not sure how true that is. My fire is kind of on the squishy side, and maybe with the Ager Vanessa damage into those fire units, I don't feel like I can handle it. This was a totally subconscious choice, so I'm trying to reason through my thoughts, because I don't like Dianas by any means. But, you know, that's what I chose. Can't go back on it now. We're watching a replay. It's over and done. So here's what I was talking about with the buff for Fran. The buff is fantastic and well worth doing, but you lose that heal, and then you're relying only on the skill 2 heal. Since mine's not violent, that skill 2 heal is few and far between. I mean, violent ones, it seems like they get it every turn, but mine is, it's a little bit of a gap. And in theory, by me going first, my opponent knows that. Like, as soon as he sees the way that Fran moves relative to his units, he knows Fran's his burn target, hopefully. I mean, that's what he should know. I'm working on the Diana, but I'm trying to get as much control on the other units as I can, trading a little bit of Diana's attack bar for the control. And, you know, it's working about 50% of the time. I opted there to go for damage on the Diana because I really want to burn that thing down as fast as possible. If I've got it in a stun, that's ideal. So I'm not sure what the build on this Diana is. It's taking a little bit more damage than I would expect. So perhaps crit damage. But a crit rate build is also fairly squishy because you're losing one of those 2 or 3 main slots for HP or defense. Usually HP on the Diana. So we're already back around on my Fran. This is the power of Verd with Fran, or Verd with anything. You're going to get your skills quite a bit. And the shield from Josephine is really working quite well here. Just makes it really hard to break through and get the damage done he wants. I feel like anytime Diana buffs shield, you know you're winning. Because you don't bring a Diana to a fight to buff shield. That is not the purpose of Diana. The purpose of Diana is to nuke like crazy, cycle turns in human form, and just wreck things. And so if you're choosing not to do that, you're on the defensive. You're hoping to get to do that again later. You're hoping to get it back, but it's a bad position for a Diana owner. So I'm happy to see that shield, I guess, long story short. And this is the game of just work on Diana forever. Some nice little interplay with my pony. When I have the will up from Fran, I switch to pony form because I know that Diana wants to nuke, and if I can be a little tankier, that's great. So I don't get to transform very often with my pony. I feel like I sit in immunity a lot, but in this match, I get to go back and forth, waiting for Diana turns to make my Amelia a less appealing target. He's decided Amelia is the target. He's hitting it with everything, including fire. Which, lucky stun there, because I would see the full wrath of Diana, if not. And we finally get it down. Now we're feeling pretty nice. We can hit anything we want. We've still got the same situation we've had all match, where we've been able to tank their team. And he calls it a day, which I think rightly so. I believe I've got the runes here from these units, if you're curious. So let's take a look. Here's the Josephine, Violent Blade. And, you know, feel free to pause the video if you want to take a closer look at these runes. But these are some of my best runes. And the Amelia is Swift Broken, 284 speed, 38k HP on Swift. And there are the runes. So she's getting probably my 3rd or 4th best Swift set. So I have pretty good Swift sets. This 5-star is sad that it needs to be used, but it does, you know. Slot 6s are not my forte. So, you know, you take what you can get. If you find a blue Swift rune that rolls 15 speed, hey, you know, maybe it'll make into your RTA lineup, right? So I hope that was useful to you guys, fighting Hathors. I know it's oddly specific in the monsters used. kind of tricky if you don't have those 2 monsters. You're going to have to try to find something else, which, you know, you might have one of the two, and maybe you can pair it with something else that works well for you. You know, you guys, a lot of you guys have Veligils and Wusas and things that do similar things to the Amelia and Fran. And Fran works great. So hope you guys enjoyed it, and, you know, good luck against those Hathors. They are everywhere, and they can win matches by themselves. So take care out there, guys.